These are the shocking paychecks of Rachel Zegler. From musicals to mega franchises, her earnings tell a story about how Hollywood pays its rising stars, and it's not what you'd expect. Rachel Zegler's career exploded when she landed the lead role of Maria in Steven Spielberg's remake of West Side Story. It was her first major acting job, and an absolute dream debut. She was chosen out of over 30,000 auditions, and suddenly, this unknown teenager from New Jersey was at the center of a $100 million production. With that kind of spotlight, many assumed Zegler walked away with a massive paycheck. But when news spread that she earned between $500,000 and $1 million, fans were divided. For some, that sounded like a solid chunk of cash. But for others, it was shockingly low for a lead role in such a high-profile film. It's important to remember this was Zegler's first movie. She had no prior screen credits, no agent-level leverage, and no box office track record. In Hollywood, that usually means you start at or just above union minimums. Still, Spielberg was directing. The film had a giant budget, and it was released by 20th Century Studios under the Disney umbrella. All of that raised expectations. From a business perspective, West Side Story didn't quite hit the mark. Despite rave reviews and 7 Oscar nominations, including a win for Ariana DeBose, the film only brought in about $76 million worldwide, falling short of its budget. Some blamed poor marketing. Others pointed to its release during the pandemic and the fact that it didn't capture a younger audience. Still, with all eyes on her after such a high-profile debut, no one expected her next move to raise even more eyebrows. After West Side Story, Rachel Zegler stepped into the world of superheroes. In Shazam! Fury of the Gods, she played Anthea, one of the 3 daughters of Atlas. While it wasn't the lead role, it was still a major studio film, part of the DC Extended Universe, and gave her a chance to show up in a totally different type of movie. Unlike musicals or indie dramas, superhero films are known for big action scenes, heavy CGI, and huge box office expectations. But they don't always pay supporting actors big money, especially if they're not yet household names. According to reports, Zegler was paid around $250,000 for her role in Shazam! Fury of the Gods. That's actually pretty standard for a supporting part in a franchise movie, especially for someone still early in their career. The movie had a budget of about $125 million, which is pretty normal for a superhero sequel. Unfortunately, it didn't do great at the box office. It only pulled in about $133 million worldwide, which is barely breaking even when you factor in marketing costs. Critics were lukewarm, and some fans felt the superhero fatigue starting to set in. Turns out, that was just the warm-up for the role that would launch her into a whole new world. This was the role that really proved Rachel Zegler had staying power. In The Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, she played the lead character, Lucy Gray Baird. Taking center stage in a major franchise like The Hunger Games was a big step up from her earlier roles. And this time, so was the paycheck. For this movie, Zegler reportedly earned around $750,000. That's a solid jump from her Shazam salary, and it makes sense. She was now a recognizable name, playing the lead in one of the biggest young adult franchises of the last decade. The studio likely saw her as a key reason people would show up to watch. The budget for the movie was about $100 million, and it did well at the box office, pulling in $349 million worldwide. That's a strong performance, especially for a prequel with a brand new cast. It didn't reach the heights of the original films with Jennifer Lawrence, but it proved that fans were still interested in the world of Pan Am. Zegler's performance got a lot of attention. She had to sing, act, and carry an emotionally complex story, and most people agreed she nailed it. The movie's success helped show that she could lead a major production, and it likely gave her even more negotiating power going forward. While $750,000 might seem low compared to what big stars make, it's actually pretty solid for a lead in a rebooted franchise, especially someone still fairly new to Hollywood. But her very next role, that one had everyone asking, what was she thinking? After starring in big studio blockbusters, Rachel Zegler took a different path with Y2K, an indie disaster comedy produced by A24. In this film, she played a character named Laura in a story that blends teen party chaos with early 2000 nostalgia and the fear of the world ending at midnight. Unlike major franchise films, indie movies are made on much smaller budgets. Y2K was produced for around $15 million, and it only earned about $4.4 million worldwide. It had a limited release, which is common for A24 films, and didn't gain much traction at the box office. Zegler's salary for this project hasn't been publicly confirmed, but actors in indie films usually make far less than they would in studio blockbusters. It's likely she took home a check of around the $50,000. Even if the movie didn't make a splash financially, it showed that Zegler was willing to take risks and try new things, something that often earns respect in Hollywood. And her next movie? It gave her the biggest paycheck of her career, but also the biggest controversy. Disney chose Rachel Zegler to play one of the most iconic characters of all time, Snow White. It was a massive opportunity, leading a live-action remake of a classic film that helped launch Disney's animated empire back in 1937. With that kind of pressure and spotlight, people expected a big paycheck, and this time Zegler reportedly earned around $3 million for the role, her highest salary so far. That sounds like a major win, but things got complicated. Reports came out that her co-star, Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen, was paid as much as $15 million, 5 times more than Zegler. That raised eyebrows, especially among fans who felt the title character should be earning more. Of course, Gadot is a much more established star with big hits like Wonder Woman under her belt, which likely explains the gap. Still, it sparked plenty of online debate about fairness and pay equality. The movie had a huge budget, somewhere between $240 and $270 million, making it one of Disney's most expensive live-action remakes. But the box office didn't match those numbers. As of March 2025, Snow White has brought in about $143 million worldwide, far below expectations. On top of that, the film faced backlash before it even hit theaters. There were casting controversies, changes to the original story, and a lot of online drama, much of it centered around Zegler herself. Rachel Zegler's Hollywood journey shows how quickly things can change, and how paychecks grow with experience. One thing's clear, Zegler isn't done yet, and her biggest roles may still be ahead. But if you thought Rachel Zegler's paycheck was insane, do check the video around the paychecks of Snow White. Oh, and hit that subscribe button, please. Thank you.